All right, we back. Part 2, Kipp basketball, 2024-2025 season. So where we left off was the Cinnamon game, and just really just still confident, but questioning everything, right? Questioning everything. This is the bulk of the year where it really shifted. Like, it was kind of clear that it shifted. Again, you're still hoping for different. It's still early part of the year. We only done a quarter of the season, but things really shifted. Again, just to recap, we lost a really pivotal player to a significant leg injury. And again, this player was a real glue guy that everybody liked on and off the court, and it really hurt with this injury, right? So again, we could go one or two ways with this. Do we dig in and really fight, for this kid that's supposed to be our brother, right? And everybody just pick up the slack, next man up type of mentality, or do we kind of break? And yeah, but so we go to the next game is Northern Burlington, right? And if you know anything about Northern Burlington, well-coached program. He's always been a well-coached guy, but they don't really get personnel-wise as far as talent, because in the Burlington area, right? It's a lot of other schools that these kids in the Burlington area go to as far as talent level, and Northern Burlington never really is it. So me looking at that is like, okay, this is a game that we can get back on track, right? And we win the game, but it felt like we lost by 20, right? Because the habits that Cinnamon showed, it was that times 7, right? A lot of turnovers. We couldn't make a free throw to save our life, right? Energy wasn't great. It was just, we really looked like we had no idea what we was doing. It was so bad, the referee that was reffing the game came over to me and was like, yo, coach, what's going on? I said, I wish I knew, man. I wish I knew. Right? And it was a really, it was the start of a scary kind of stretch for us. We win that game. We go into Burlington Township. Burlington Township had 4 losses, I believe, 5 losses on the year. Again, solid program, but they got players. They have talent. They have size. I think we lost by 8, but it was the same as Cinnamon. Burlington Township gave us plenty of opportunities to win that game, right? But we just chose not to, take those opportunities. And I'm gonna use that word a lot, choice, right? Because that was like a staple of our year, right? I feel like we made a lot of choices this year. And I say choices because I'm the type of person that when you show me that you could do something, that's all I expect, right? These kids showed me that they can do things at a high level, right? But they made a choice to not do those things consistently. They made a choice to be average, below average at times, right? So Burlington Township, we made a choice not to capitalize off the opportunities that they were giving us, right? And we lost that game. Holy Cross has our current player of the year in our conference, Manny Doku, right? The best player on the team. Holy Cross, Marcus is doing a good job over there, right? They had a really good record. They're knocking everybody off, right? We go into Holy Cross, and I'm thinking to myself before we play this game, and I'm thinking about our kids. I'm like, if we play hard in this game because we're going against Manny, I'm a lose it. And the reason I say that is because it's a nonprofit in our area called Free All Minds, ran by Ricardo Dale. He's doing an amazing job with this. Mentorships, work programs. His kids has a 100% college application rate as far as getting into schools and graduating. It's a really good program, in the area for kids. If you want to get your son into it, I would definitely, vouch for that. They're doing a really good job. But anyway, most of our kids is in the program. Manny Doku is in the program, so they all know each other, right? And our kids at times, and I think it's a lot of kids at times, right? Sometimes beating your friend is way more important than winning a championship. And that's how we played that game. It was one of those games, I told you, it was a handful of games that we did everything correctly, executed, played hard, played for each other, so on and so on and so on. That was one of those games, right? And we ended up beating Holy Cross. And I walk away from that game and I'm like, it was a really tough week. So I was really appreciative about the win because I don't want to keep, overdoing it with these kids because sometimes they'll just tune you out. But I also knew, like, all right, that's y'all boy though. Like, and I saw that. They played so hard. They played so hard against them, slapping the floor, clapping their hand, like all these things that I ain't. Where was this at against Burlington Township, bro? Like, why you ain't had this type of energy then? You know what I mean? So I got mixed feelings walking away from that. Then we play Leap. Again, another program. Gregory Schultz is doing an amazing job over at Leap. If anybody get a chance to see them next year, it's not the same Leap. He has a really good, solid player in his son. That'll be a junior next year. His younger son is coming from the middle school ranks, so they're doing an amazing job over there. Amazing job. We played Leap, and it's obvious they want to beat us. Like when the tip, like they really want to beat us. Like not just beat us, they really want to beat us really badly. When the tip tips off, they're full tilt into it, right? While our guys is, this is just Leap, right? So and I'm thinking about that coming off the Holy Cross. We just did what we just did against Holy Cross as far as effort, and then we come to Leap, and we're playing like, man, this is Leap. We'll win. Give half effort, and yeah, you know what I mean. So the mixed feelings for Holy Cross wasn't mixed anymore. I was like, it was exactly what I thought it was. Y'all played hard because you played against your boy, right? And now we're not respecting another opponent in Leap, and here we go, the same MO. You making a choice to be this way, right? Preferably the seniors, right? So we win the game, we beat Leap, but I'm in that weekend is I'm struggling. I'm personally struggling, right? Because it's like I thought we was past this. And I will never stop trusting in kids ever. I pour in my staff. We pour into what we pour into them. We believe we teaching them all the right things, right? Again, they show signs of, all right, we getting it. They show some small signs of consistency, right? And then for whatever reason, they just backtrack. You know what I mean? It was a real struggle. So going after the weekend, going to the next week, we played Pennsauken, right? And Pennsauken don't want to hear this, but it is what it is. Everybody has the flu. So after dealing what I had to deal with Northern Burlington Township, Holy Cross, Leap, just how those games was won or lost, now everybody has the flu. Preferably our starters and our bench for varsity, right? Not even the JV guys. Somehow it just bypassed them, right? So after seeing what I saw the previous week, I don't know what to believe. Honestly, I don't know what to believe, right? Are they really sick? I don't know, right? So we play the game. They look lackluster, like they are sick, right? But I've seen that when they 100% fine, right? So second quarter, Pennsauken is up 8 or 10 or something like that, right? So I'm like, all right, we need to try to swing this momentum in some type of way, right? So I run and jump the ball. I just go double the basketball, right? It works. We go on a bit of a run, right? One of our guards takes it upon himself to, instead of laying the basketball up, he tries to dunk it. Misses. Pensalkin comes down, make a three. Right then and there, I knew this game was over. Right? One. But two, but you got the flu. And you took it upon yourself to not lay the ball up. You had enough energy to try to jump and dunk the basketball, but you don't have enough energy to defend at a high level. You don't have enough energy to run the floor. You don't have enough energy to do all these other things, but you got enough energy to try your hardest to jump and dunk a basketball. And here goes my thing with this generation, and I'm a double back on this in part 3 to end. It's like they just want what they want. Most of them. It's not about winning. It's about what I want in the moment. You know what I mean? That's more important than all of these things. You know what I mean? Like, look at the psychology in that, right? Like, you gotta actually jump to try to dunk a basketball, right? You gotta use some force and some energy, right? So you wanted to do that. You can do those same things in order to help your team win a basketball game, but you made a choice not to. So I ended up just benching the starters. I was like, y'all don't have it. So we played the whole second half with a JV team. And for some odd reason, Pensalkin kept their starters. It's not an odd reason. I think I pretty much know why they did it. But we played our JV the second half, and we ended up losing by 30. Pensalkin played their starters the rest of the game, and we lost by 30. Right? West Tech, we play West Tech. It was pretty much the same, right? They still saying that they got the flu. All right, they feel a little better, right? Okay, but it was pretty much the same thing. We lost in overtime to West Tech by 1, 2, or 3 points. I'm not sure, and that was a consistent trend with us this year. If you look at our entire schedule, right? Outside of the games that I benched the team, which happened a lot, and I think that's very important. I had to bench those guys a lot, right, because they just wouldn't give enough effort. Outside of those games, we lost a lot of games by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And you would think, okay, if this is a young team playing with young guys, that makes sense, right? They're inexperienced, and they're just inexperienced, right? They don't know how to close out games. But we playing 4 seniors. 4 seniors. With what somebody's saying, we have a top-notch guard as one of those seniors. And we losing these games by 1, 2, and 3 points. What does that mean? Right? That mean that we're not experienced. That mean that we don't have good guard play. We're doing enough to be in the game at the end of the game, but we can't execute and finish. That's guard play, that's experience. And we lack that. And this is when I started coming to grips with this is not the guys that I thought would be at this stage of their career, high school career. I was like, yeah. We go in the Hatfield at the Paul 6 Showcase. Again, I bench the starters. You know, it's starting to become a trend. Right? It's starting to become a trend. And I know I'm saying it's like, all right, well, yo, if you got to keep benching these starters, why don't you just play the young guys? And yeah, that's fair. But that's also kind of saying forget the season as well, because the young guys are extremely talented, but it's potential, right? They weren't ready to play at all varsity basketball, at all. So that's fair. I mean, but again, on the flip side, that's what you're saying. You're saying just forget about the year. Forget about the year. When we know what's on the back half of the year as far as the playoffs, being in Group 1, I can't just forget about that, right? Again, no disrespect to Group 1, but we're not playing any Group 1 teams on the schedule this year, right? Right? We're playing Group 3, Group 4 in Catholic schools, right? The parity changes once you get to the playoffs. So I can understand people saying that. Why don't you just bench them? But ultimately, I looked at it like, well, most importantly, these are good kids, right? They're not bad kids, right? And I'll double back on that in part 3. They're not bad kids, right? They're trying to figure this out in their head while in real time, right? They're questioning everything. These things are happening, right? And I understand that. And they're never disrespectful. It's not somebody that's selfish on the team. It's none of that. It's none of that. They're trying to figure it out in real time. And to be honest, I went to war with these kids for 3 years. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and try to work through it. That's what me and the coaching staff is thinking. And when they need to get benched, then they'll get benched and we'll try again tomorrow. Right? So that's what I'm thinking during this time. We beat Palmyra to end this stretch of this 8 games. We're 4-4 during this stretch. Palmyra coach tells me that before the game, he says to me, I'll never forget, he was like, we are just trying to match ourselves against you guys. We're trying to see where we stand against you guys. Right? It's not about winning the game. It's not about any of that. We just want to see where we stand. And this is where it kind of gets like frustrating for me personally, right? Coaches, referees, fans, they coming up to me the entire season telling me, yo, how great of a job you guys are doing in this short amount of time. 3 years and you guys have established this and like you're doing an amazing job, right? And on the surface level, I'm like, okay, thank you. But I'm also like, it's not good enough though. Like we should be winning. Should we be 4-4 during this stretch? Some might say we should. Maybe that's what we are, average team. But again, I've seen these kids execute at a high level. I've seen it. Right? Are these teams beating us? Or are we beating ourselves? Beating ourselves. So maybe nobody else sees it, but I see it. So it's hard for me to thank you, coach, for looking at, like, nah, I don't. Respectfully, I don't need your thank yous. This is what's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a struggle at this point. It's a struggle at this point, right? The wins don't feel like wins. Confidence is at an all-time low with this team. It is. After the Pittman game last year and the season that we had last year, this whole offseason, preferably the seniors, ego was through the roof. Through the roof. Why do I know that? Why do I say that? Missed workouts in the offseason, missed practices, right? Showing up for things late, right? Don't miss any games, right? Playing in a whole bunch of other tournaments that I'm not even aware of, right? Where I know they're not going to get better playing over there, right? But they're playing in everything, right? Just a lot of, they walk different, they talk different, right? It's just a lot of like, I've arrived. It felt that way, like I've arrived, right? We'll be fine next year because it's going to be just like last year. And I told them, I said, we do not have a Group 1 team on our schedule. This will be different. People know who you are now. You have to get better. They chose not to. And I keep going back and forth in my head. Was I this hard-headed as a kid? I don't think so. But it is what it is. And the hardest thing for me to do is look at a kid and see that they don't know what to do. Like, come save me. And I've seen that a lot this year. but I told you. I told you. You know, so at this point of the year, it's like, now you're just questioning everything. You know, you have your, you know, your little argument with God. Like, why is this happening? Why? You do everything correctly, right? Or you think you do. You know, you prepare, you know, you love on the kids, you do all these things. Why is this happening? Why does this injury happen? Why is the whole team getting sick? Why, when you touch somebody in practice, somebody gets hurt? You know, why is this dude going through this thing at home? Like, why? Why is all these things, everything came crashing down at once during this year? I don't have enough time to tell you the list of things that was going on with this program throughout the year, on top of the basketball part, right? And it's like, all right, again, you have your little moment with yourself, you know, your little pity moment, but you can't have that long as a leader. Anybody that knows anything about leadership, you got to lead no matter what. If the storm is going, nobody cares. It's raining, nobody cares. Well, everybody's looking at you for what's next, right? So I have my little moment, but then it's like, all right, I got to get back to work though too. So how do I attack this, right? I got to come in every day and do the work, regardless of what anybody else is doing, the kids, the parents, the family. What I got to do the work. What's next, right? So I'm ready to work. But then another thing is I got to make sure, okay, am I taking care of myself during this process as well, right? And that's the most important thing, right? Because I can't fall off a cliff for people that don't want to go off the cliff with me. They gonna just let me fall, and they gonna be over there walking down the street. So how am I taking care of myself during this process? And what I came to grips with is there always needs to be a balance, right? As much as possible, there needs to be a balance, right? Ultimately, you need to take care of yourself first. But when you do that, now you got to dig deeper, right? Into the relationship department, into the mentorship department, into the fatherhood department, into the understanding and empathy department with these kids. And I think this is where my growth really took a turn for the better during this year, because naturally I don't want to do those things, not all the time, or I want to do it on my terms, rather. Let me say that, right? I don't want to do it when I don't want to do it. And what I had to realize is that's the times that I got to dig even deeper and do it, when I don't want to do it. It was times I didn't want to talk to these kids at school. It was times I wanted to say something hurtful to these kids. Just being honest, right? And I had to come to grips with, no, that's when I need to love more. That's when I need to love them more. As hard as it is, the competitive side of me, knowing that we losing games that we shouldn't lose, I was like, I need to dive in more. And I that's what I tried to do. I wasn't perfect every day, but that's what I tried to do. You know, and that's what I knew I had to do moving forward. You know, so, but it was a fight. It was a constant fight within myself during this time, every day. Every day. Do I want to be selfish today? Because I naturally want to be selfish. Or do I want to make a choice to ask this kid how he's doing away from basketball? What do you need? Right? I love you. Just tell him I love you. Right? And as I'm fighting with myself during the year, back and forth, thinking about who I want to be today, a question arose in my brain, and I was like, am I turning into the people I despise? When I want to be selfish and I want to just say, oh, forget that kid, am I being a hypocrite to what I hate? So in part 3 next week, I'm going to answer that question. And we'll end with how the back half of the year went. You know, go through the whole last game of the year, the whole day of it, and what Kipp looks like moving forward. All right. So till next time, y'all.